On September 12, 2018, a team of elite Russian cavers and two British photographers began descending into the deepest known cave on Earth. The cave was called Veryovkina. It dropped 2,212 meters straight into the mountains of Abkhazia, a remote, barely mapped territory in the Caucasus region where the rock swallowed everything and gave nothing back. Getting to the bottom was not a single day's work. It took 4 days. 4 days of descending thousands of feet of fixed ropes, crawling through mud-choked tunnels on their stomachs, and squeezing through cracks in the rock that barely fit a human body. Every meter down was a meter they would eventually have to climb back up. The expedition leader was Pavel Demidov, one of the most experienced cavers in Russia. The British photographer was Robbie Schoen, hired by National Geographic to capture the first images ever taken of the cave's deepest point. Nobody had photographed it before. Nobody had been able to. After 4 days of descent, they reached the bottom, nearly 7,000 feet below the surface. Their camp was a flat sandy ledge beside a terminal lake, a pool of still turquoise water surrounded by jet-black limestone walls that had never seen sunlight, not once, not ever. They spent 7 days down there, exploring side passages, collecting scientific samples, Robbie photographing every inch of a place most humans would never see. It felt like another world. Then, on the morning of September 16th, a radio call crackled through from two cavers positioned higher up in the system. 4 words. Flood pulse, 30 minutes. At first, the team wasn't worried. Flood pulses were known to happen in deep cave systems. A temporary surge of water, manageable, expected. Then the sound hit them. It started low, a deep vibration in the rock beneath their feet. Then it grew, louder and louder until the mountain itself seemed to be screaming. Everyone ran out of the tent. A massive wall of white and brown water exploded from the shaft above them and cascaded past the camp into the abyss below. The ground shook. The sound was deafening. The air turned to mist. Robbie turned to his assistant, Jeff Wade. "We need to leave right now." There was no time to pack, no time to organize. Robbie left tens of thousands of dollars of photography equipment sitting on the cave floor. He grabbed 2 memory cards from his camera, the only photos ever taken of the deepest point on Earth, shoved them into a waterproof bag inside his suit, and ran. The team sealed their latex suits, strapped on harnesses, and began climbing. They clawed along a narrow ledge above rising water. They scaled a 20-meter cliff face with waterfalls hammering down on them from above. Every handhold was wet. Every foothold was slick. When they finally reached the camp at 1,900 meters deep, they stopped. Above them, a waterfall had completely sealed the passage to the next level. Below them, the water was still rising. They were trapped, nearly 6,000 feet underground. Nowhere to go up. Nowhere to go down. For 16 hours, the team waited inside a tent pitched on a ledge above the flood. The Russian cavers kept spirits up, laughing, joking, playing cards in the dark. Robbie and Jeff could not relax. They kept their harnesses on. They paced outside the tent. They watched the water level inch by inch. Then, one by one, figures emerged from the darkness below. Bruised, soaked, exhausted, but alive. The flood pulse lasted 20 straight hours. When the water finally dropped enough to move, the team began their climb back toward the surface. 4 days down, 4 days back up. Every muscle burning, every rope slick with cave water. All 9 members of the expedition walked out of Veryovkina alive. Robbie Schoen said the experience was so overwhelming that it changed how he thought about everything above ground, actually mattered. The 2 memory cards he grabbed in those final seconds before fleeing, the only evidence that anyone had ever reached the deepest point on Earth, he almost left them behind. Expedition leader Pavel Demidov survived Veryovkina that September. 2 years later, he returned to the same mountains. He never came back out.